I started getting into buying sex on a regular basis when I was in my late 30s. There are local papers that have advertisements in the back, and just decided to go see a professional dominatrix.
My first lover was a Puerto Rican hooker. I was a sailor. I didn't know any better.
So I suppose I've been married for 25 years. I didn't want to have an affair, and so I found her on the internet, and it was, I suppose, a mind-blowing experience.
Do we want a society where men can buy sex? Yes. There's nothing wrong with it. Sex is a commodity. People who think sex is not a commodity are delusional. I've had sex with over 5,300 different clients. Like, I know what I'm talking about here.
Ontario sex trade workers celebrate a significant and rare legal victory.
I don't believe it. We never get good news like this.
This story began when lawyer Alan Young and 3 sex workers challenged Canada's prostitution laws that make many aspects of sex work illegal.
And here's why it's really sinister. We know people have gone missing in Vancouver, in Winnipeg, in Calgary. There's hundreds of them.
Justice Susan Himmel agreed with the plaintiffs and their claim that the existing laws put sex workers at risk.
We won't have to work in fear and under the gun and on the run, and my colleagues won't show up dead. It was stunning to me that we won. It's completely logical. However, logic doesn't usually enter into any debates around prostitution.
There are women in the sex trade that are happy with their work. As counterintuitive as that sounds to the prohibitionist, there are. And there's many of them. And all they want from this case, and all they wanted from me, is to create a legal regime which doesn't make their job harder. And when I say harder, I'm not just meaning more difficult economically, but harder in terms of risks to physical security.
No government, no religion, no army in history has ever been able to stop sex workers. For 2 simple reasons: sex and money. If you want to stop sex workers, you have to stop sex and you have to stop money. You think you're up for that job?
For 15 years, I was a hooker. And a lot of it was my identity.
And women, who do we have as our role model? Marilyn Monroe, Betty Boop, fucking Jessica Rabbit. So you do have no right to come here and call down women who choose to do what they want to do. So fuck yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I'll pay for all your plane tickets to go to Bangkok and maybe tell your problem there. This is a strip club. Fuck,
our problem isn't with the girls.
Across the street, go and have a beer there.
Our problem isn't with the girls.
Yeah, well, this place.
The oldest profession is actually farming, and it's not inevitable. It's not. That same argument was made about domestic violence. I mean, just because we have things with us all the time, does that mean we don't try working against it?
As we stated in the press release, we're all deeply troubled by the decision handed down by Judge Himmel. We know from our lived truth that we shared that it was not the laws that beat and raped us, it was men. It was not the location that made us unsafe, it was the men we were in that location with that were unsafe. We have to interfere with the unchecked male demand for paid sex.
My big umbrella goal is to see Canada adopt the Nordic model of law, the Swedish model of law. Sweden criminalized the demand for paid sex, pimping, procuring, and trafficking. And they decriminalized the women. So they looked at it from a women's equality standpoint and as a violence against women issue.
The real question for me is this: does prostituting women make them equal? And the answer to that question is no. Why are there so many women with fetal alcohol syndrome, women with addictions, poor, young, Aboriginal or racialized women in prostitution?
The vast majority of prostituted persons are women, in fact. And certainly, we know that the buyers are almost exclusively men. So prostitution is gendered in that very kind of obvious, structured way.
Right? And in fact, in most cities, you're far more likely to be charged and convicted as the prostituted woman than you are as the buyer. So that is something that I think...
The abolitionist position, the position of the women's movement, has always been that this is not about personal morality, whatever that might be, that this is about power, which is something quite different.
Mr. Speaker, prostitution is a problem that harms individuals and it harms communities. And this is why I'm pleased to indicate to the House that the government will appeal and will seek a stay of that decision.
They just deny the existence of my people. And I don't understand that these are real people with real problems involving the law who have made a free will choice to sell their bodies.
Well, I've always liked the sex industry. When I was a little kid, there'd be an old Western movie on TV, and the cowboys' wives, they always lived on the outskirts of town in some rundown shack, and the cowboy bossed them around, and they were in these raggy old dresses with a couple of babies hanging, squalling off of it. Like, I didn't want that, but the saloon girl, I was intrigued. They were in the center of town, they knew what was going on, there was music, sometimes they'd get to own the saloon. That was more my style. The first professional dancing costume I ever had made was that of Saloon Girl. I was about 16 or so. Like, people want to go on about how it was abuse in their minds, but not in mine. And I think that's the most important thing. And I do not believe that all sex workers, including myself, are delusional.
I would have said I chose it. I would have said, like, there was a point in my life, probably in my really early 20s, when I loved it. It was great. It was fun. It was a party. And I would have said I choose it in that singular moment. But you can't, it's not about a singular moment. It's about all the moments that got you to that place. I didn't think it was strange. I didn't think it was wrong until I remember in like grade 5 or grade 6 or something, we had a constable or something come in and talk about good touching and bad touching. And I was just floored that this was the bad touching, you know. It never occurred to me until then. You always knew, it just didn't seem quite right, but you never actually voiced your opinion in my house. I mean, I was already sleeping with people to get high or drink by the time I was 12. And then when I went to my first group home, I just got shown, I guess, the official ropes.
I never knew what you did, but I told everyone you worked in a bar.
That's what I told you. That's what I told everyone.
But I didn't know what you did there. And that's all I knew.
When did you find out?
I figured it out eventually. It's not that hard. Your mom works at a bar, is coming home at 2 o'clock in the morning every day.
I mean, I've always done it on my own financially. Not a dime of child support.
My wife, she hasn't been in my bed for 10 years. So, and that's not because we're not friends. We're very close. We travel together, we talk together, we work together, we do a lot of things together. For whatever reason, her sex drive is essentially non-existent and mine isn't.
I really don't want to get involved in another relationship. You know? Too much work and too much compromise.
I just melted. I went from being terrified to within minutes going, this is so right. You know? And probably, if it had been with just an average person who had the same level of experience, it might have been a nervous nightmare. So time to bring in the professional, you know, the artiste.
I know that our opponents talk about what kind of men go see sex workers, and look at your husbands, look at your brothers, and look at your sons. Like, this is who we see.
It has been argued here that Canada's laws are what makes prostitution unsafe. For them, there is no talk of the large systemic issues that force women into prostitution. No talk of the societal harm, emotional harm, mental harm, spiritual harm. It is the Johns we must shift our gaze to, for they have gone unnoticed for far too long, lost in the noisy argument of women's personal choice.
Do you know who this is? No. It's Brenda Wolf's daughter. It's my
It was startling to see just how much Angel looked like her mom.
I love hearing you speak. It really, loved it.
Oh, it's such an honor and a pleasure to meet you.
I knew Angel's mom in the downtown east side when there was a lot of us talking about Picton and a lot of us talking about how we had friends who were going missing and who wouldn't be seen again. And then we didn't see her again.
In that apartment, and your mom used to always come and hang out there.
I was still in elementary school when it first came out, the whole trial. Everybody knew that her mom was a prostitute who worked on the street and, shot up heroin, this and that. And it was just that stereotype that I didn't want to be a part of. So I wouldn't self-identify that I was Native. I wasn't proud to be my mom's daughter. I had a huge hatred for her because I couldn't understand why she chose that life over us.
Robert Picton took advantage of the vulnerable and dispossessed and took them out to his farm and would be charged with killing 26 of them, convicted of 6. And there's a lot of suspicion that he killed many more than just those 26.
Oh, I have to forgive her now. That wasn't who she was. It makes me sad in a way that it is the 19th annual walk. The fact that this has been happening for so long, that these women keep on going missing and no one's doing anything, really needs to stop.
Yeah, it's the men who yield the knife. The question in the case is the law complicit in this? And the law is complicit in this because it takes away strategies that women can use to protect themselves from the predators. The law doesn't cause anything. The law is an abstraction. It creates a framework within which you make decisions, and this framework takes away the decisions you need to avoid the Gary Ridgways, the Joel Rifkins, the Arthur Shawcrosses, the Robert Pictons, the Yorkshire Ripper. I can go on and on. They all preyed on street women. Maybe some of those women could have opened a door and avoided it.
The lessons from Picton were not that we ought to have more brothels. He was running a sort of brothel for himself and his friends. The lessons of Picton are that we need to take male violence against women seriously, and that prostitution is a part of that. We need to stop the men from coming in and scooping up these women, to take them back and abuse them in exchange for money and drugs. That's the problem here. It's unacceptable that we have a population of disposable women that can be used in this way.
What happened to your back, boo? Probably got in a fight. I've been scrapping. I've been trying to stay out of them. I really do. I'm getting old.
Well, Angel is a woman I've known for 17 years. For years we worked together.
Black hair now, which is
Honey,
good.
you need to get that looked at.
Oh, it's nothing. What?
Can you make a fist yet?
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're well on your way. You're fine.
It was dangerous, as dangerous then as it is now. But this is what I know. My mom had her own addictions and did what she thought she had to do and what was taught to her. And so when I was 11, my mom put me out on the street. Not on the street, she would go to the street and bring people home, right? And that's how and that was in the hotels here too, so. I haven't talked about it in a long time. I never ever once said I wanted to be a prostitute. We're made.
Case used to be way up by where we used to work.
Most of us are Aboriginal down here, so they're just like me.
It's our old piece of real estate.
We owned it.
Right? This was ours. Well, here and down there.
I worked up there.
There's no traffic here, though, anymore.
No. I don't know, maybe.
We used to come here, and it was like constant traffic.
Yeah.
No one drove down these roads except for single men in cars.
I honestly believe there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing.
Would you have come to that decision if you had grown up free from an abusive household and grown up in a loving household?
Well, that's an entirely other situation. How are you now? You're saying abolish prostitution, but also abolish abuse and abolish, and that would definitely be good.
But I think
too many kids get hurt.
I know, which is why we have to say to men, you can't buy women, because we shouldn't be allowing them to exploit, abuse children.
These could be guys that are out looking for me now, right? That would have raped their daughter or their neighbor's daughter or their son or whatever, but instead of doing that, they go for a drive and they find one of us.
I am not willing
to
allow an abused child who grew up into an abused woman be offered up as some sort of sacrifice in order to save another child.
This is a sex worker-led plan. We don't want people to be coerced into this business, and we don't want any kind of violence and deception, and we're trying to bring it out into the sunlight here. I think the best model currently in the world is New Zealand.
The world's oldest profession is now legal in New Zealand, but the move to decriminalise prostitution squeezed in by only one vote.
The change means charging for sex or living off the proceeds is legal, but hiring an under 18-year-old won't be. The law also allows sex workers to say no, a key reason former prostitute Georgina Beyer backed the bill.
It would have been nice to have known that instead of having to deal out the justice myself afterwards to that person, I may have been able to approach the authorities, the police in this case, and say, I was raped!
Decriminalisation means we have very limited laws that discriminate against sex workers. We have a model where sex workers have a lot of options. They can work for themselves.